The Immortal is the new trial 750 RPM SMG that is already dominating the PvP scene. There's absolutely no secret as to why it has the best stats of any 750 RPM we've ever seen, access to some of the best perks for an SMG, and it has access to Adept mods. What this results in is an absolute killing machine that can duel up to 30 meters of range comfortably, making mid-range options like auto rifles and hand cannons almost useless. There's already been an announcement that Bungie is looking to separately nerf both Taraba and Ikelos, and the cynic in me thinks that the Immortal will not get nerfed for at least this season because Bungie wants people to play trials for higher engagement, so I would still grind for this regardless of what you think is going to happen in the future. For the PvE mains out there, I'm sorry to say, but this is also probably the best strand primary weapon in the game currently out there as well. SMGs are so strong in PvE, Funnel Web with volatile rounds for your void builds, Ikelos with Volt Shot, and now this strand SMG is going to be the perfect workhorse for all your strand builds. Even in PvP, this SMG synergizes so well with strand builds and lets you pull off some incredible plays. There's a lot of hype, and rightly so, about target lock, but there's also a lot of misinformation, so I'll be covering that perk in depth later. And for you controller players out there, I may be able to convince you of another god roll instead of target lock, so stay tuned. So let's get into it. So for starters, the Immortal has some of the best base stats for a 750 RPM SMG we've ever seen. It has the most range on a 750 RPM, even more than the Ikelos, the joint most stability, which is where this subclass of SMG really lacks, the most aim assist on a 750 RPM, the most airborne effectiveness, and a very respectable amount of handling. It's the best in class for nearly every stat imaginable. With a fully juiced out Immortal spec'd for pure range, this thing can reach nearly 25.5 meters of range, which is well over a meter more than the Ikelos max range roll. I'll also say this, the Ikelos with a full bore roll goes down to a measly 15 stability, which kicks like a mule on controller, whereas the Immortal, even with a full bore roll, stays at 28 stability, which is more manageable on a controller. In my eyes, there's no comparison. So now let's get into the perks. For the barrel, for MNK where recoil isn't an issue, hands down full bore is the best barrel here. Usually for controller players, I'd shy away from full bore, but here, thanks to ricochet rounds in that second column, which gives 5 range and a whopping 10 stability, you can negate the downside of full bore here, so full bore is going to be the best barrel for a skilled hand. For someone who struggles a bit more with controlling the recoil, something like small bore, corkscrew rifling, or hammer forge will be better options. For the second column, as I said, ricochet rounds is the best perk here. On 750 RPMs with their innately low stability, that 10 stability is an absolute gem. There are tons of good perks in both columns here. In that first column, perpetual motion is going to give both stability and handling for just moving. Dynamic sway reduction is going to ramp up both stability and accuracy as you hold down the trigger. Very good perk for controller players, especially if you're struggling to control the recoil. However, the king for PvP still remains the rangefinder role, which gives extra zoom and extra range. Rangefinder gives over 2 meters of range, which is absolutely bonkers. It's like the equivalent of 20 on the range stat. Keep Away is a good substitute for rangefinder in case Bungie ever nerfs rangefinder on SMGs. It gives 10 range, a bonus to accuracy and reload if your enemy is outside 15 meters, which is actually going to be a lot of your engagements if you position yourself correctly, as you don't want to get too close so you get shredded by shotguns and fusion rifles. For the second column, there are lots of great options here. The most hyped up perk is Target Lock. Target Lock essentially ramps up damage both on headshots and body shots the more continuous hits you achieve from your gun. For the Immortal, you can only achieve 4 stacks of Target Lock damage max, as you need a perk like 4th times the charm or reconstruction, which overflows the magazine to achieve the 5th stack, which requires 110% of your magazine to be hit. Think something like Retrofit Escapade with 4th times the charm and Target Lock, but honestly 4 stacks is enough. It bumps up the damage from 16 to the body and 22 to the head up to a maximum of 19 to the body and 27 to the head. Without Target Lock, as you can see, you need 8 headshots and 2 body shots to kill at the highest resilience values. With Target Lock, this comes down to 8 headshots and 1 body shot, 1 bullet less, which actually lowers the TTK of the gun from 0.75 seconds to 0.67. For the lowest resilience guardians, it will actually lower the TTK from 0.67 to 0.58 seconds. Whereas for the middle range of resilience values, it will maintain the same TTK of 0.67 seconds, but make the gun more forgiving. And just look at the pure body shot TTK reduction with target lock. We go down from 1.08 seconds to 0.92 seconds. Target lock is an absolute monster of a perk that not only lowers TTK at the extremes of resilience, but also makes the gun much more forgiving at all levels. If you're someone who's regularly hitting their shots, regardless of them being body shots or headshots, there is no better perk in my eyes than target lock on this SMG. But what about if you're struggling to even hit someone in the first place? If you're someone who's on controller and is seriously struggling with the recoil of this gun, then a better option for you will be tap the trigger. Now, tap the trigger gives you a whopping 40 stability and also provides massive accuracy bonuses to the gun. The first 0.6 seconds when you hold down the trigger. Now, 0.6 seconds is nearly the entire TTK of the gun, so it will benefit you for 80 to 90% of the duel. So guys, if you're finding yourself a tap the trigger roll, don't discard it immediately. It may also be a great combination for those on controller who want to go for something like full bore to negate the downsides of low stability from full bore and from the archetype of the weapon. Kill clip is also still a great option for 6s especially. It drops the TTK to 0.58 seconds across the board. But in all honesty, this requires a kill for activation, and target lock is giving you a lot of this bonus on the initial kill as well. So it really becomes debatable whether kill clip is worth it on this gun. You also have Killing Wind, which boosts range, handling, and mobility on kills, and for most SMGs, this would be an S tier perk. But here you're competing with 3 other S tier perks, which in my eyes just do a little bit more. Another bonus for target lock is going to be that it will benefit you against people who have healing or over shields, especially when they get revives. Finish the gun off with a range masterwork and an adept range mod, and you're looking at an absolute monster of a weapon. For PvE, the barrel doesn't matter as much. For the magazine, you want to improve reload speed, so alloy magazine, flared magwell, and light mag will all be great perks. For the first column, the best perk here is going to be threat detector, which gives a massive reload bonus of 60 when you're close to 2 enemies. It's going to make the gun feel incredibly snappy and have low downtime. The second column, there are a few options here. Kill clip gives a nice 25% damage boost, which is easily sustainable in PvE. Demolitionist will work great for grenade focus builds, but in my eyes, hatchling is going to take the icing on the cake, especially for strand based builds, where the threadling actually synergizes with your fragments. The threadling spawn from the hatchling perk from the gun can actually work with both Thread of Rebirth and Thread of Evolution, so you can enhance your threadling builds. Just look here, I spawned 2 threadlings from 1 strand weapon kill thanks to the synergy. Aim for a reload masterwork and an adept reload mod, and you have an absolute monster of a PvE weapon as well. The gun also works incredibly well with the artifact mods this season, both for PvE and PvP. You can use a strand weapon with Untangler and Threaded Blast to blow up tangles to cause further damage and suspend even more enemies. Honestly, for PvE, this is a no-brainer, but this also works incredibly well in PvP. We haven't even touched on the origin traits for the gun, which are also great. Alacrity is an absolute cheat code for game modes like Rumble. The gun doesn't need any more bonuses, but you can get a whopping 20 range, 20 stability, and 10 further aim assist. Honestly, every Rumble lobby I've played so far is about 4 Immortal Adepts fighting against each other. Field Tested is a better origin trait for game modes like 6v6 and for PvE as well. Kills are going to give a stacking bonus to range, stability, and handling that persists even when you stow away the weapon. The perk also mentions weapon hits, allowing you to get the field tested bonus as well, but in reality it requires too many hits to activate through that way in PvP. Overall, my PvP god roll is going to be full bore, ricochet rounds, rangefinder, target lock with a range masterwork and an adept range mod for the high-end players on both console and PC. Controller players who are struggling to manage the recoil, I'd opt for small bore ricochet rounds rangefinder, tap the trigger with a range masterwork and adept range mod instead. And finally, for PvE, small bore, alloy magazine, threat detector, hatchling with a reload masterwork and an adept reload mod will really make this weapon work. The Immortal is a meta-defining PvP weapon that also functions as an extremely powerful strand PvE weapon. If you were on the fence about grinding this weapon, hop off. I hope this video convinced you to grind a god roll. If you enjoyed what I talked about today, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more PvP and PvE content as we get deeper into Lightfall. I'm Mr. On It, and that's it for today. Peace out, guys.